If we're serious about becoming great at something, then we need to figure out what we're aiming for and how to get there. I'll address this in two parts. This first video will be what, and next video will deal with how. When approaching this question of what makes a great musician, a good starting point is to think about the qualities and characteristics of musicians that you admire. Over the years of doing this, my list has gotten quite big, but luckily it can be simplified into 4 categories: musicality, technicality, memory, and creativity. I think these categories should be pretty universal, but everyone will have a slightly different definition of what these terms mean, so let me explain what I mean by them in a little more detail. The reason why I put this one at the top is because it's probably the most important and also the most elusive. Because it can be hard to define, I think people often attribute musicality to talent, but I don't think that's the case. I think that it's a skill, like any other, that can be learned and practiced. I think it's possible to define, and what I define it as is the ability to communicate a personal, artistic ideal for the music that you're performing. This artistic ideal should display deep emotional connectedness and great understanding of context. Its communication, though, is highly reliant on good technique. We can have a perfectly crafted artistic ideal, but if we don't have the technique to communicate it, then it won't matter. Speed, accuracy, time, tone, precision, clarity. Having great technique will turn a well-crafted artistic ideal into a great performance. I want to make the distinction between a great performance and a perfect performance. They're not the same thing. I think perfection is quite unattractive. It's inhuman and very robotic. We like spontaneity, risk. If a performance doesn't have any dramatic elements, then it's just not worth your time. We can break memory down into 3 components: the content, its volume, and the speed of acquisition. What do I mean by content? Well, at its core, content is your playing repertoire, and everything that surrounds it is contextual knowledge, like historical knowledge, biographical knowledge, theoretical, anything that is extra musical. Context also includes music that you know even if you don't know how to play it. The reason why that's important is because knowing other music helps you understand and interpret the music that you do play. A great memory is more than just being able to remember the pieces that you play. It's about being well-versed in music. Maybe that's just my opinion, but I think that a great musician is a musician who is very cultured about music. Creativity can also be a little bit difficult to define, but in this case what I'm talking about is improvisation and composition. I've always been interested in composing and improvising, and I understand that not everyone feels the same, but they're an important part of my musical ideal, so I have to include it here. What makes a great composer or improviser deserves its own video because it's really a completely different beast. For now, let's just accept that it's an important part of being a great musician, and I can address the details of the creative musician at some later stage. A great musician, to me, is someone who is cultured, musical, technical, and also highly creative. What makes a great musician is certainly not recognition, and that's really important to remember. While doing research for this video, I stumbled upon the letters of Vincent van Gogh, and I was reminded of his tragic life. As you might know, he was very poor during his life. The art buying public of his time was not accepting at all of his work. Now, in the 21st century, he is widely considered one of the best painters of all time, and he's probably one of the most famous also. His paintings now regularly sell for tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. Recognition or fame in any domain is largely due to luck. Last video, when I was talking about success coming mostly from hard work, I was defining success as becoming great, not being recognized. Of course, I want my work to affect as many people as possible, but that can't be how I define success. All I can do is put in the work and let luck do its thing. Thanks for watching.